The executive faces a strict mathematical limit. Inputs demanding your attention, emails, Slack, financials, scale infinitely, overwhelming your capacity to output decisions. The traditional response is hiring a chief of staff. You route administrative tasks to this new node, hoping to clear the bottleneck, the only node in the system authorized to process complex, high-stakes information. This happens because most organizations treat the chief of staff as a senior project manager. They delegate isolated projects and calendar management, keeping the employee cordoned off from the raw, messy reality of the CEO's daily operations. Scaling leadership requires a move beyond delegating isolated tasks. It requires a system capable of replicating your logic and executing decisions on your behalf. A highly effective chief of staff functions as a predictive decision-making replica. To build that replica, you must abandon standard organizational silos. You must expose them to the exact same raw data, the identical meetings, and precise financial realities. Scaling executive bandwidth depends on a 100% shared context environment. Without this, a replica fails to understand the nuance behind your choices. For decades, achieving this meant investing heavily in human capital, spending months sitting side by side with a top-tier hire. But the mechanics of building this replica have shifted. The organizational theory of total shared context can now be manifested directly as a custom AI software architecture. Translating management theory into AI architecture is becoming a primary skill for scaling executive output. CEO coach Matt Mochary built his methodology on a single rule. The chief of staff must share your identical sensory inputs. Where your eyes go, their eyes go. In practice, this means sitting a smart human directly next to you for 10 to 12 hours a day for up to 6 months. They read every single email you read and sit silently in every meeting you attend. Training this replica requires granting unrestricted access to your professional and personal infrastructure, passwords, bank accounts, and private communications included. Over the first months, they observe identical information streams and map them to your decisions, driving their error rate to 0. Eventually, they internalize your framework, processing their own data using your exact pathways, acting as an extension of your mind. It requires a leap of faith to grant another person total visibility into their net worth and corporate strategy. But if you protect your privacy and withhold that context, the model fails. The replica can only function if the data feed is absolute and unredacted. Rachel Woolen, CPO at Webflow, took Mochary's shadowing model and translated it into code. Standard out-of-the-box AI tools lack the persistent, localized memory of your specific business constraints. A generic chatbot can draft an email, but it cannot act as a true proxy. To build a digital shadow, you have to solve the problem Mochary identified. The agent needs continuous, real-time read access to your reality. Instead of a human looking over your shoulder, you build a digital pipeline. You route your live Google Calendar and Gmail directly into an LLM. Generating digital API tokens authorizes the AI to continuously monitor your incoming data streams. To keep this access secure, Woolen stores these credentials inside a hidden .env file on her local machine. By running the architecture locally, the data stays off third-party servers. You maintain control over sensitive information while bypassing the security vulnerabilities of commercial SaaS platforms. Establishing these API pipelines provides the AI with its foundational sensory inputs. But live data is only half the solution. The AI can see your meetings for tomorrow, but it lacks the historical intuition and personal operating preferences you've built up over years. Markdown files provide the architectural solution for storing this static historical context. Woolen documents her professional DNA in these files. She maintains a directory with her communication style, personal bio, and an archive of product release notes. Markdown is the optimal format because it provides a clean, text-only structure that large language models can instantly parse. When the agent runs, it pipes these static files into the system prompt. In seconds, the AI absorbs the historical context that a human chief of staff would spend months learning through observation. Treating a directory of Markdown files as a dynamic memory bank transforms a generic language model into a personalized replica calibrated specifically to your history. With the context engine built, Woolen deploys the agent against specific workflows, beginning with a daily calendar auditor. The AI pulls her live schedule and compares it against the long-term priorities defined in her static markdown files. It identifies meetings she should decline and points out discrepancies between her strategic goals and her actual time spent. A second workflow manages networking via a CXO dinner prep agent. Woolen drops a screenshot of a guest list into the interface. The agent ingests the image, executes web searches on every attendee, and filters that research through her personal bio to find overlapping interests. It outputs a structured briefing document, highlighting priority connections and generating conversation starters tailored to her specific background. To manage the risk of this automation, Woolen follows a constraint from the Mockery model. The system never communicates with the outside world on her behalf. Restricting the AI's permissions to drafting only allows the executive to maintain time leverage while eliminating the risk of misrepresentation. Once the data architecture is established, the front-end interface can be hyper-customized to the executive's preferences. For her daily priorities, Woolen designed an interface that mimics a physical blue-lined index card flipping over on her desktop. This introduces ephemeral software, building highly specific, visually pleasing widgets to manage short-term projects. Because the build cost of this software is near zero, you can simply discard these applications when the project concludes. The barrier to creating bespoke tools has dropped. Functional software has become as malleable and as disposable as a text document. The bottleneck of leadership has evolved from managing human capital to orchestrating context integration. For leaders looking to scale their output, the ability to translate management theory into hands-on software architecture is a significant lever. Vibe coding enables non-engineering executives to construct these complex, secure data pipelines directly. This adoption scales when leadership prioritizes working prototypes over traditional presentations, proving the utility of these systems in the real world. The high-leverage executives of the coming decade will be distinguished by their ability to architect their own context-rich digital replicas.